Hello, my name is Amber Jordan. I chose to write my literature research paper on A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens was a writer during the Victorian era. During this Victorian era, there were two main components that were almost always prevalent in all literature written during this time. One component would be the struggle between right and wrong. The other component is the everyday struggles of the poor. This story was written with both components. Mr. Scrooge, which is the main character, dealt with the struggles between right and wrong. Bob Cratchit, which is one of his workers, dealt with the everyday struggles of the poor. This story was written using Mr. Scrooge as the example by showing that he could have easily donated to the poor, and he could also raise Bob Cratchit's wages. Bob Cratchit was a worker for Mr. Scrooge who had low pay and also worked overtime. Even on Christmas Day, he had to stay in the office and work. Mr. Scrooge had went home and enjoyed the rest of his night, but three ghosts approached him during the night. The three ghosts explained to him how his life could be turned around if he would just do better. The ghost of Christmas past showed him that his ways that he had years ago has affected his future and his present. And the ghost of Christmas future was the most influential ghost. He showed Mr. Scrooge that if he continued with his ways, that he would no longer have any friends. He would have resulted in Tinnyton's death, which is Bob Cratchit's son. Bob Cratchit had a son that was very sick, that required a lot of care. Once the three ghosts visited Mr. Scrooge, he changed his ways very quickly. He started donating to the poor, and he also gave Bob Cratchit a greater salary, which resulted in his child, which is Tiny Tim, to become well again. This story also exemplifies industrialism. Industrialism is a social or economic system built on manufacturing industries. In this case, the story is based on the economical aspect, which this story explains how Mr. Scrooge's company is flourishing, but his employee, which is Bob Cratchit, is still poor and still struggling with the everyday struggles of being poor. Ironically, Mr. Scrooge, his name is Scrooge, which means a person who is stingy with money, which that is very ironic because the guy in the story, which is stingy with his money, is named Mr. Scrooge.